If you think I'm fat, comment chunky monkey on this video. So if you've been watching my videos since early on, you may have noticed that I've gained a few pounds. This has been really intentional for the purposes of strength gain. To be exact, it's been about 35-ish pounds since I started putting out videos on YouTube. If you want to see how I looked when I started doing YouTube, take a look at part 1 of this reaction series, because it was pretty close to when I started doing YouTube, so I look fairly different then than I do now. Mind you, I was behind a desk, so it's a little hard to tell, but you can kind of see it in like the face and stuff. But I wanted to use this as an opportunity to bring up something that I find really, really stupid in the personal training industry. Now, this does pertain to my reactions to the anime, How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift, which we are on part 9 of now, and it has to do with the personal training industry. There's this really interesting phenomenon that especially I see on the internet, that when somebody's like looking at a personal trainer's physique, they're like, if you don't have abs, you can't be a personal trainer. And I just think that that is the stupidest thing ever. You wouldn't go up to your accountant and be like, you don't have 10 commercial properties, you can't be an accountant or a realtor or whatever, right? Like, you know, like, yeah, if you're an accountant, you should be able to manage your money, like, right? Like, you would just never do that. And the reality is like, even if you know about money, investing in property takes a lot of time and energy. Even if you know about fitness, building a lot of strength, building a lot of muscle, you know, being like a high-level powerlifter, bodybuilder, building a really insane physique, takes a lot of time and energy. So there's a lot of personal trainers out there that have the knowledge to help guide people to those things, but don't have the time and energy in their own lives, maybe because they have kids, maybe there's a lot of life stress going on, whatever it might be, that allows them to do those things themselves. Now, in the case of Machio, he is the exact opposite. He has all of the time and energy to put into having a great physique, and he has none, and I mean none, of the knowledge. If you're on team cancel Machio with me through this video series, please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell, and maybe like this video even if you do like Machio. Please like the video. Please don't like my cancel campaign stop you from liking this video. Please, I need this. Please help me by liking the video. Let's dive into it.
And seriously? How'd I gain weight?
The scale, man. Okay, so this is a really interesting thing. So it's not explicitly stated here how long she's been working out, but let's call it a week, maybe 2 weeks. This is not enough time to make meaningful change, but probably some change is occurring, and the scale can be a very dangerous measuring tool when it comes to measuring progress, and let me explain why. So there's a lot of different factors that go into your daily weight: how much you ate the day before, when you ate that food, your bowel movements, how much water you're holding on to, hormonal cycles, especially for women, and all of these things can make your weight go up and down on a day-to-day basis. So if I step on the scale Monday and I step on the scale Tuesday and I'm 2 pounds heavier, I didn't necessarily gain 2 pounds of fat. I maybe gained 2 pounds of water, or maybe something I ate the day before is kind of sitting heavy in my stomach, and that's why I weighed in a little bit heavier. And I think we'll see people kind of apply this in a very unhealthy way, where they're like, they'll get on the scale every Monday, right? And the next Monday they might be like 3 pounds heavier, and they're like, oh my God, the workouts aren't working, I'm not losing weight, and They might not be. They might not be eating in a calorie deficit. They might not be doing the things they need to be doing to lose weight, but that's not really an accurate representation because one of those many factors I mentioned before could just be skewing the weigh-in and making it higher. That's why they're weighing in heavier and not because they actually gained any fat. And if they looked at the averages, if they took all 7 days of weigh-ins from week 1 and all 7 days of weigh-ins from week 2, and they averaged them together, if they are doing the right things, the average might be going down from week 1 to week 2. So my cautionary tale to you would be, if you're going to use the scale, you probably need to use it as an objective measuring tool where you can step on it and not give a single shit about the daily weigh-ins and simply focus on the averages and seeing those change over time, be it small or large. And every once in a while you might run into a week where, you have a little dip up, or maybe you kind of stay the same. But if you look at your average weight on like a month 1 and a month 2 basis, that's probably enough time that you should see a difference between month 1 and month 2 as far as averages, if you're doing the right things. If you're not doing the right things, you'll probably know by that point in time that you need to be taking further steps to be either losing weight or gaining weight, depending on which direction you're trying to get the scale to go. Now, on the other side of things, if you can't objectively do that when you get on the scale, you should probably use other measuring tools and just avoid the scale altogether. Maybe use like a measuring tape to take measurements of different areas of your body, or maybe just use the mirror test, something like that, or just forget about all that together and just focus on how you're feeling or the weights that you're lifting.
All I wanted was to slim down, not become Gorilla McGirlguns.
So you've noticed a change in your physique, but the scale pulled a fast one on you, huh? That's actually a good sign that your muscles are getting stronger and your fat percentage is going down.
Oh.
It's possible to weigh more being fit and strong than when you have excess body fat.
Okay, so I do think that this is actually relatively true. As you get fitter, as you get stronger, as you gain muscle mass, you might find that you weigh more, especially if the rate at which you're gaining muscle is increasing faster than the rate of which you're losing fat. Which is why I think it could be a really good idea to just remove the scale from the equation altogether. This can be kind of a tricky thing because it is hard. If your main goal is to lose weight, is to lose fat, and your trainer is just like, hey, you're gaining muscle, it might be a little bit of a disservice. Although maybe your weight loss goals are unrealistic and the body you want to achieve, how you want to look, might actually not coincide with your expectations of what you think that body should weigh. So in a case like that, you really need to evaluate, okay, this is how I want to look. Do my expectations really match that? Maybe you think that body is what you look like at 135 pounds, but maybe that body is actually what you look like at 145 pounds. So it can be a little bit of a tricky thing of just making sure that your expectations match the reality, and sometimes they don't. But also, if you have a goal and you've voiced that to a trainer, they might be trying to have these tough conversations with you and maybe you're just not accepting them, but there also should be a level of like, hey man, help me with the goals that I am paying you money to help me with. So it can be kind of tough, right? Because there's a side of this that's Hibiki's, that could be Hibiki's fault, and there's a side of this that could be Machio's fault. And honestly, both could be kind of true.
As your muscles get stronger, you're naturally going to weigh more. Fat's big but light. When you see it next to equal amounts of muscle takes up less volume, so it looks smaller. Both of these guys weigh the exact same, but the one on the left is bigger and has less muscle mass. There are
Okay, so this is true that a pound of muscle is smaller than a pound of fat. So if you take two people that weigh the same amount and one has more fat on their body and one has more muscle on their body. The one that has more muscle on their body will look smaller. So that kind of goes into what I was saying about the body you want might weigh more than you think it does, because if you have a certain goal in mind of how you want to look, and that requires a certain level of muscle tissue to look, you know, fit and toned and muscular, sexy, good. I don't know, maybe you want to be a muscle mommy. I don't know, like, how you want to look, but that look that you have in your head might be different than the number on the scale. And there's also a level of muscle is healthy. So if your goal is to be healthier, you probably want to gain muscle, even if it doesn't necessarily match the look you're going for. If the goal is just to be as healthy as possible, then it might be worth kind of evaluating, embracing gaining a little bit more muscle tissue. I say this as I know that there's a lot of women that struggle with embracing muscle tissue. I think it's a little less common with men. I think we're just like, yeah, we want to look like Goku. But with women, it can be a little bit harder for them to kind of get over that hurdle. Although I will say that kind of with this whole like muscle mommy era we have, and a lot of like representation from like really muscular, really sexy looking women in anime and in media these days, there's a lot more women who are embracing this, which is really cool to see. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to part 9 of my reaction to the anime, How Heavy Are the Dumbbells You Lift? If you enjoyed this video, please consider checking out this video here, or consider checking out this video here. And until next time, guys, peace out.